Welcome to DC.
And here it comes. Swing and a miss. And a World Series Game 7 winning Curly W is in the books.
Dagger! It's 1974. The Washington Capitals are the 2018 Stanley Cup champions.
Don't like that. I like that.
You gotta like that, right?
Despite all this, despite the churn, my approval ratings keep going up.
We are ready to give our 500% support back to this franchise, back to this city, back to this team after Snyder leaves. And then this is the poo-poo you put on the field.
For the very first time, the Washington Mystics are WNBA champions.
The Washington Commanders select Jaden Daniels.
I'm going to support fake teams that can't ruin my life.
Did you call bank? I call game.
Thank you. Sorry to keep you waiting. Complicated business.
Well, boys, it is good to see your faces, but it is a sad, sad night here in Washington, D.C. We are, about 24 hours or so removed now from what happened in Philadelphia. If you can't hear me, I'm going to clean up my audio here as we progress through this. But the honest truth is it's 24 hours I've never felt so slow. The build-up to the game was painful. The last 24 hours have been quite tough. I don't know what to say. They've been quite tough. Pete from Philly won't leave me alone. I keep trying to get him away from me. He keeps coming back like a freaking STD. I don't know what's going on with him. But, I got to say, boys, it is tough to look at this season right now and like talk about all the good stuff because all I feel is pain. I had coworkers talking to me today about it. I had rando fans and family members. It's just a lot of it's good, right? Except Pete from Philly. It's all been good for the most part. Also, Phil from Philly is another one that I never want to talk to. Dan from Philly, also super annoying. But, Stevie, we watched some of that game together. Andy, I know you were with your boys FP. You watched with LP. I'm still feeling the way I did last night, honestly. It's just tough. There's this sense of okay, Philly was the better team. But I feel like we could have beat them, and I can't shake that feeling, Stevie.
I'm with you, and my condolences to all of us. It was the slowest 24 hours before the game, so much so that I came to your house multiple times to kill time.
Yes, we saw each other many times just discussing the build-up to the game.
But listen, what I discovered in the last 24 hours is I am a filthy liar, and I think you guys are all filthy liars as well, because we all said, at least I know I said, no matter what happens on Sunday night, we will be proud of the team, happy with the way it went, shocked that we got this far, and there's no such thing as a loss because we have overachieved, house money. We kept on using that term.
Yeah.
And that wasn't the case. It wasn't the case. To lose like that, playing one of your worst games of the season, to beat yourself in such a way, to look so bad on defense to start the game, embarrassingly bad on that first play of the game, to have turnover. I know we're going to get into all of it. To give up the most points in a championship game, in an NFC championship game in history. That's a tough way to end the season.
Yeah,
and maybe as time goes on, we'll get past it. Right now,
well, your boy, your boy FP here, he's already moved past it. He's telling me about all the great things that we did all day long. FP, did you even process this loss? Do you think we're still playing?
I'm the only thing I can think after that game is I don't know how Buffalo Bills fans do it. I don't know how they can constantly
be that close.
Look at their team either back in the 90s or now and just be like, this is our year. And they make it to the top and then just heartbreak after heartbreak after heartbreak. And this has been the most painful loss any of us have had in the last 33 years because we've never even gotten this close before. So we've never felt the sting of a championship game loss. And the whole game, especially after that first Saquon run, the whole game, I was like, just keep it close. Just make it so that the rest of the world sees what we saw in this team all season and be like, we belong. And just as the game progressed, we got further and further away from the we belong narrative. And it was just bullshit. It was just mistake after mistake. And I said it immediately. This game was too big for everybody on that team but Jaden Daniels. I really think if those turnovers don't happen or whatever, if Jaden Daniels just had the rest of the team to rally around him, it would have been a lot closer. I'm not saying we would have won, but it wouldn't have been the embarrassment that it was. And it was an embarrassment.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that's the toughest pill of all is to swallow. It's not that you went up there and lost, right? It's the way you lost. It's Saquon, playing patty cake with Jalen before the first snap, their offensive possession, and literally exactly what he did the week prior, saying kill, audible, toss. And it was a carbon copy of the week prior. It was the, 3 turnovers leading to 3 touchdowns, right? Like, how do you come back from that, right? It's the opposite of what happened in Detroit, right? Detroit, you were able to create the turnovers. Obviously in Philly, you were the one producing the turnovers or providing the turnovers, but it's painful. It still stings, and in the end, I know what the scoreboard says a lot to a little. I just, the homer in me feels like we still could have won that game.
It's because we haven't experienced that.
Go a different way.
We haven't experienced it all season. We haven't been blown out all season. No. And years past, a blowout happens 3-4 times a year.
Yeah, this was
the first one this season, and I think we all forgot what it feels like to see that product
against Dallas, right? Like you felt, all right, we lost that game. There was a couple against the Steelers with the Johnny Newton jumping off. Like you were in all those games. This one just felt like it was a garage sale, man. Like the wheels came completely off. Everybody was rattled, and we'll talk about the specifics, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Andy, you were watching with your boys. I think you were the only one to go out to watch this. What was the mood? Don't name or dox the place you were at, but like, what was the mood at the establishment, like leading up to and then after the game?
Yeah, I mean, I was at a nice bar in Fairfax. It was 95% Redskins fans. There was a small table with like a little, I don't know, 10-year-old who was an Eagles fan, so it was hard to kind of talk shit and yell at them. Yeah. But no, I mean the game, everybody was so excited. Everybody was cheering before the game even started. Our first drive to convert on, what was it, 3 fourth downs or 2? It was 2 fourth downs. Even though it was weird to kick a field goal after going for it twice, even though you were in field goal range. That's beside the point. No, I mean the mood was electric. Fire at the beginning, electric at the beginning. And then Saquon's first run, and then turnover.
I think Stevie,
touchdown.
You even said it, Stevie, right? 7-8 minutes to go get 3, and then 14 seconds to get 7 is
feels like you're down 2 scores.
Yeah. And it just kept happening. Like, and you can't. I consumed a fair amount of media today, although I told myself I was going to ignore it, but I just couldn't. The thing that I can't get away from is Saquon. If you take away the long run, and you can't actually take it away from him because he's incredible, and I find it personally very hard to cheer against him because he's so likable. He was largely contained, right? I mean, largely contained. Like if you take away that, he's still averaging 4 yards a carry, but like it's.
I'd be curious.
Yeah.
Ask you guys, because I see there's some rubbish being put in the chat about takeaway for 27-23 nonsensical stuff.
I mean, he doesn't stop. He's in here now.
The biggest,
you guys can't see the chat, but he's nonstop. Pete from Philly.
What in your opinion was the biggest turnover? Because to me, I'll give mine very quickly.
So many to choose
down
from.
11. We had all the momentum. We were driving to get it to a 1-score game in the third quarter. And Austin Eckler's fumble, to me, I understand everything that I understand what McNichols did on the kickoff and how it changed because we also Philly got the ball to start the second half. I understand that. I obviously understand, the other fumble as well. But to me, we were about to make it. We had all the momentum going, and we were getting ready to cut it to a 1-score game. That Eckler fumble, to me, was the deal breaker.
God,
I'm sorry. I did it right on Sunday.
You nailed it. You said his name.
I know.
You went 6 for 6 on Sunday, but so you're on the Eckler fumble. There's many to choose from. Andy, which one are you on?
No, the McNichols, the kickoff one. You can't fumble on that kickoff. It was the McNichols fumble. That was for me the momentum swinging one.
FP, which one are you picking?
Diami all the way, because
I'm on that one too.
Just go down. Like me and LP were shouting at the TV, just go down. Like we understand the need for yak, but not against this team. Not against this team that preaches punching the ball out. And I don't like the whole game. I don't understand how that Eagles defense just has a knack for knocking the ball out of players' hands across the league all season long. They've been the best at generating turnovers. I don't understand why that team figured it out and our defense couldn't figure it out. It's just the difference between that team and this team. And it only showed up this week. It only showed up in this game because that defense, the last time we played them in DC, wasn't really, I mean, they got the turnovers, but they didn't look as solid as they did this game. And it just, I don't know. I just can't help but think that this is a young team with a lot of guys that don't have big game experience.
Well, Diami's he's one of a billion free agents that may or may not be back here.
Right.
I will say the Diami one for me too. And it was because it was like the 6th or 7th play of that drive. Like that was your second out. You were working your way down the field. Or maybe that one came on the heels of the fake punt, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So like you were clearly committed to moving the ball and you were able to do it. And yeah, I mean, and you just stay down. I understand the need for the extra yards too, but you're like, someone has to tell these guys like, hey, you're going up against as you said, FP, the most opportunistic defense when it comes to creating fumbles. Just go down. Like, it's okay. Just go down. Let's get that extra play, especially when your plan is to go for it on every 4th down anyway.
Right.
I would imagine if you're Cliff and Dan Quinn comes over at the beginning of the game or maybe all week, basically said, treat every possession as if you're not punting, right? Like, that's going to change how you call things on 2nd and 3rd down, right? The one thing for me that I want to talk about here just a little bit is the run game, right? I think Eckler and B-Rob as actual running backs combined for something like 50 yards. I don't know how many carries it was. They just weren't successful and they kept sticking with it. And like, I'm never a proponent of just abandoning the run. I don't like to do that. I think it's actually kind of a lazy football, lazy coaching, just to say, oh, we're down by 100 and we have to just become super one-dimensional.
We kind of did abandon the run a little bit.
Well, they had to when you're down 3 touchdowns in the late in the 3rd. Like, there's no option but to do so. You got to move the ball much quicker. But to me, the bigger tell was Ertz having like almost a career game, right? Like if and this is not a knock on any of the receivers, and I'm not doing the Terry number 1 talk. I don't want to have any of those conversations.
I mean, his touchdown was beautiful, but yeah.
But there was a reason that Ertz was
targeted and
repeatedly, right? I mean, they excelled at taking away Terry. For the most part. I mean, you got to give him credit there. And opposite on the other side of the ball, on 4th and 11, right? When the Eagles, you got to think that call did not come easily to Sirianni and company to say, we're going to go for it. They must have been feeling some pressure, but from that point forward, it seemed like the offensive game plan, anytime they needed to complete a pass, Jalen was like, let me identify number 23, and that's where I'm going with the ball. I couldn't.
I know you want to get into the Lattimore thing, and we can get into it now.
5 minutes on Marshawn Lattimore.
We can get into it now, but I will just say, I think the most painful part of the game, regardless of the turnovers, was it almost felt for like the entire 2nd and 3rd quarter, Jaden didn't even see the field, and it felt like when that offense could get on the field and sustain drives, they had a shot. Right, Jaden had that offense getting the yards they needed, and all we needed was for the defense to just do their job at the bare minimum, at the very bare minimum, just get that offense off the field. And there was ticky-tacks, and there was Lattimore, and there was a lot of nonsense that went into it. But the fact that your best player in Jaden Daniels barely saw the field, and when he did, I think all of us saw the same thing, right? That's how Ertz does have the big game. That's how Terry does get the touchdown. That's how we are about to make it a 1-possession game, like Stevie said earlier. The offense wasn't necessarily like, the run game could have been better, and you could have had a little bit more, but for the most part, that offense was handling Jalen Carter. They were handling the pressure. Jaden was escaping the pocket. Like, the yards were coming. It's just that he couldn't stay on the field long enough because that defense was just getting
I hear you.
destroyed.
I hear you, but I only want to
biggest-
talk about Lattimore. Lattimore.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Sucks.
I'm ready for it. I'm ready for Lattimore. I'm not going to defend him on this show right now. I'm not going to defend him.
Liability. I see all that. To me, the biggest delta, that means difference. The biggest delta
Thank you.
between one of our units and their units was their defensive line's consistent ability.
No, hold on. I'm not pivoting off of Lattimore. No,
let's go Lattimore. You want me to give it to you, Joe? I'll give you the Lattimore.
We could talk about the finger point. We
can
talk
amateur hour here. It's amateur hour.
If we cannot I only want to talk about Lattimore. Lattimore.
Okay. All right, hit me with your Lattimore take. I'll give you my take, Joe. Go for it.
He is terrible. AP got fleeced in that trade. The guy plays 6 games a year. Everybody worships him like he's freaking Darryl Green. He's not.
I'm not going to give you. I won't. I will.
Very handsy corner who got wrecked yesterday.
Listen, I agree.
He got wrecked against Mike Evans. This guy, and on top of all that, he made it all about everybody else fumbling the ball during the postgame. I'm 100%
not necessarily how that comment
dude
was.
Get him away from this team. Get him away from Daniels. Just get him out of here. Trade him back for Chase Young. That's where
I'll shit on Lattimore.
I want Chase Young back in the Redskins.
How do I mute you?
Can
I mute you, Joe? Is that possible? Listen,
you can't mute me.
I will shit on Lattimore for his game all day. I'm
all
in 100%. No, I'm in 100. Go listen to 2 podcasts ago when you were praising him for shutting down half the field against the Lions.
He didn't give up 55 points 2 months ago.
He didn't give up 55 points this game. I will say Lattimore was a liability in that game. Yes. The problem with Lattimore,
he was liability. He was the problem.
He was not
on
the liability. The problem with Lattimore this game.
No. Hold on. Hold on.
Oh my goodness.
Wagner is an old man. You're not asking him to do anything that he cannot, his limitations. You traded for Lattimore and benched BSJ and all the other, moved everything around.
This is DTC 2017, ladies and gentlemen. Joe, let me talk.
You needed to get Lattimore.
We're in agreement with you
on the field. He was terrible from beginning to end.
Everybody
Don't
here
talk to me about any other liability. He was targeted.
We're still talking about Lattimore's liability. We're all agreeing with you. Pull the stick out of your butt. We got it. Okay. Lattimore sucked against the Eagles. Yes. AJ Brown was his daddy. Yes. The problem with all of it,
not just AJ Brown.
Okay, fine. Whatever. Whoever you want to put against Lattimore in the Eagles offense. Yes. Okay. Agreed. The problem with it and why you're so riled up was seeing Lattimore be a little beta bitch about it, about getting into the fights, about complaining to the refs when he's very clearly committing PIs, about getting into fights with AJ Brown, about talking shit, and then immediately being handled like a little puss. Like, he's just terrible. If he just takes his licks and smirks it and goes for the next play and tries to make a play, you don't have as many complaints as you have. But the fact that he's not making the plays and then making a show out of it and looking like a giant beta that doesn't know how to handle a grown man across the field from him, that's the problem that I have with Lattimore. I'm not going to say that AP got fleeced. I'm not going to say that.
BSJ have been better or worse yesterday?
Worse. You're an idiot if you don't think that he's not going to be.
I disagree.
Joe, you're an idiot. You're an idiot through and through if you're going to tell me BSJ over Lattimore.
How much worse what needs to happen? What do you need to see from Lattimore to just close the book on this guy? What do you need to see?
I don't think Lattimore made the plays, right? In a one-on-one, whatever, him versus the receiver, he didn't perform. But how many missed tackles did we have in the backfield that we could have had on Jalen Hurts that extended the play? Any secondary is going to crumble. I get Lattimore's one-on-one performance is not good. I'm on board with that. But I think there's more to it. The plays were extended. We missed tons of potential sacks. We missed tackles. Yeah. Hurts extended the play, and that just hurts the defense all around.
Yeah, 100% right on that one. Listen, you can pin the blame on Lattimore. Nobody on this show, nobody in DC is going to tell you you're wrong. But you also have to look at it the way it was, right? You can't immediately be a DC fan and say the trade was terrible and blow it up and trade him away and waste the picks and do it. You can't be that guy. You can't be that guy.
I can be. I am being that guy.
Oh, that's the problem with the DC
Chase
fan
Young,
base.
Don't
bring me Chase Young and BSJ and Forbes.
DC fan base, Joe.
Don't bring Chase Young and BSJ and Forbes.
We need an edge rusher, right?
Okay, was Chase Young ever an edge rusher? Get out of here.
I mean, the chat's very lively. I'm just kidding about the Chase Young thing. Gee, everybody needs to relax.
You need to relax.
I'm trying, but I'm still upset. I mean, I'm an emotional person. FP, what do you want from me?
I just need like a modicum of intelligence. You're sounding like a Philly fan. Listen, just a little bit of intelligence.
I want to just give you a little bit of insight into what I'm seeing on my screen. Okay, everywhere I look, it's Pete from Philly. On the chat, in the private chat, it's Pete from Philly. My phone is buzzing. Pete from Philly.
Who cares about Pete from Philly? Their fans are shooting guns in the air while they celebrate. The fans will take care of Pete from Philly himself. He's not going to last. Okay,
that's true. Stevie,
the script is written. They're not beating the Chiefs.
Also, real quick, that 1 4th down play that they hit on Lattimore, right?
Big hold by Saquon.
Huge hold on Lulu, right?
I don't want to talk about Sean Hockey. I'm not going to talk about the refs because
we're going to do a whole ref segment here.
The product we put on the field wipes away any complaints you have about the refs. You can't.
Do Philly fans know how disgusting they are?
Honestly, I don't.
Is it like, self-awareness? I don't know.
That's just an excellent question. No, I think they remind me of people with like really bad BO that just don't like either they're not active enough to smell themselves or they're not like self-aware enough to realize, hey, like I stink.
Well, the whole reason
the AJ Brown that everyone reps Philly doesn't actually live there and used to live there and got out.
Oh, it's not just Philly. It's Pittsburgh. It's the whole state of Pennsylvania. The most annoying fans are from the state of Pennsylvania, and none of them still live there. Yeah, this is the truth.
The whole reason the AJ Brown reading a book thing on the sideline was a headline in the first place was Philly fans felt fleeced that one of their own knows how to read a book. None of them know how to read a book. They were like shocked by it.
Their mayor can't spell either, so I mean, it's. Listen, was there any positives out of this game? FP, you talked about the moment being too big for everyone except Jaden, and I appreciate that take. I think Jaden, given the circumstances, he I mean, just looking at box score and kind of feel for the game, he wasn't on the field enough. But when he was out there, I mean, there's still no.
I mean that cut that he did when he rushed in for that touchdown was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful, and he was still Jaden, right? He was still calm, cool, collected. He was moving the field. He was finding his guys. There wasn't too many passes that sailed away from him. Like he did exactly what you needed him to do. And like, I don't want to fast forward into the offseason because I still want to kind of wallow in self-pity and hatred for a little bit because that's what we should do as a fan base. But if you're AP and you're looking at that product, that is exactly what he needed to see to sort of help him calibrate what is the biggest urgency first. And I said it in the recap. I want this O-line and this D-line, and that's kind of what Steve was trying to get to as well, talking about the Eagles defense, was both of these lines for a long part of this year was they're doing good enough. I don't want this line to do good enough to just get by, to hold their own. I want everybody to be like, that is the strength of this team out after Jaden Daniels. I want this O-line to be monsters so that somebody like B-Rob, who isn't the best running back, and we do have to address that position, can go in there and easily get you 100 yards rushing. I want this D-line to come in here and
so
maybe
what's your number one position of need? Let's go around the horn here quickly. What's your number one position of need, FP?
Edge rusher for me. I love the guys, but when you see Saquon do what Saquon's doing, and he's always breaking it to the outside and going, you gotta contain. And all of those plays that Andy was talking about where Jalen Hurts is extending, you need proper, real elite edge rushing that's going to get that quarterback down, that's going to get those sacks, and you contain, because then your weak secondary, then your old middle linebacker, then all of those other pieces work together and do a better job if they don't get to expand that field.
Stevie, where are you going? Number one position of need.
Before Sunday, I would have said right tackle. after Sunday and after seeing what Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith did to that team, I'll go stud D lineman. I mean, these tackles these days are just as good as rushers as the end guys. So a stud pass rusher, whether that's as a DT or a DM.
I mean, it's going to be a subplot, if you will, the entire offseason. It's not too long ago that Daron Payne, asked to be out of here. Right? It wasn't too long ago that him and Jonathan Allen were fighting on the sideline, and there was talk about moving one or maybe both of them. They're going to have to, obviously Daron wasn't active, but they're going to have to look at that. I mean, the amount of money they've got tied up in those two guys, I don't know if you can run it back with that squad again. I'm not sure.
I don't know if you have to.
For what I just described, let's just confirm that.
Yes, they could absolutely be better, but I don't know from a front office standpoint if you're going to spend money or picks on addressing that. If that was the case, then Adam Peters never would have let Fedarius Mathis go.
Yeah, I don't know if it's
you have Johnny Newton, you have Allen and Payne. You might want to try riding them at least one more season and address everything. There's so many more other holes than D tackle that could potentially make the D tackle position a less of a liability.
Like
I would like to find a
criminal,
a talented criminal like Jalen Carter that we can get late in the draft because he killed someone.
You know what? That was totally in my blind spot until John brought it up. By the way,
he dropped because he was the only one on that scene.
I don't know how I didn't connect that. I mean, it floored me actually when John said it while we watched.
He's a perfect Eagle, fits perfectly.
100%.
Andy, what's the number one position of need for the team? He's gonna zag here. He's gonna go tight end.
No, I'm not gonna go tight end. I want a Quinyon Mitchell. I want a cornerback. I want a Dijon or whatever the heck his name is. Dijon. Give me somebody that can Give me somebody that can shut down an entire half or quarter of the field.
According to FP, Lattimore is that guy. We just need to give him more time.
I'm not saying Lattimore is the greatest cornerback. I'm saying you just give him one more season. Give him a full offseason to gel with the team.
I don't think there's any gelling. He doesn't strike me as the gelling type. He's
Dan
on an
Quinn
island.
strikes me as the guy that can fix that.
I don't think so.
You saw the culture that he built in one season. Give him a little bit more time. He came in late. He needs to buy in a little bit more.
Okay. I mean, I'm going to go offensive line. You can pick your poison, but I think that unit has to be improved. And I think that's actually the biggest need because you could put in to Stevie. I don't know if I 100% agree with you with regards to B-Rob. I think B-Rob is still serviceable. You could definitely do better, but he was not helped at all.
B-Rob's not that guy.
He's not who they thought they were.
He's
whatever
not that guy. He doesn't run with anger. He doesn't hit the hole fast. He doesn't.
I think
he doesn't trust his read.
I think they can make it work. No. But the offensive line, especially yesterday, I mean, that was the squirmiest we've seen Daniels in a long time. I mean, do you guys disagree?
Well, I think we're burying the lead, which is our rookie quarterback played a really, really good NFC Championship game. I mean, certainly better. I think of Roethlisberger. You remember Roethlisberger in like 2003 as a rookie starting for that 15-1 Steelers team? I mean, Jaden Daniels played a great game. And I'm not going to say it was good enough to win, but if everything else fell into place, that's a pretty remarkable.
Well, I think he did play good enough to win. I think Jaden played good enough to win. I think you're not going to beat anybody with 3 fumbles that turn into 21 points. Like it's not going to happen. But are those his fault?
The key to the future really is you need to build a team where Jaden doesn't have to carry the offense on his back, so that when his magic moments come out, that's what puts you over the top. And then suddenly you're Chiefs and you're constantly in the championship game.
I don't know there were any magic moments yesterday that we saw in Detroit with the bucket pass to Diami, with a couple of the throws he made in Detroit. I didn't see, there were a lot of, I mean, that's what was crazy is the Eagles were playing press coverage, daring these guys to beat them deep. And I'm not going to knock the wide receivers. If Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith are not getting pressure on Jaden, he's going to make those throws. That's the difference in the game.
I slightly disagree here. And again, I'm not picking on the receivers, but this is where, like,
It's not the biggest need, but they have to address wide receiver.
I agree. I fully agree.
How many times yesterday, Stevie, did I say, like, all these other teams just take shots down the field? Either they're going to make a spectacular catch or you're going to get a pass interference call. We can't even get enough separation or make it appealing enough for our very good rookie quarterback to take.
He doesn't have time.
I understand.
He doesn't have time.
I understand, but T. Higgins is on everyone's radar. Like Diami.
Where's Stat Boy? I need number of pressures on Jaden
No,
Daniels.
Steve, you're right. But you're also you can't like losing Cosme. We were trying to say it wasn't a big deal. Me specifically, trying to say it wasn't a big deal. And Trent Scott did his part, right? Like Jaden could have been in a lot more trouble than he was. But you're right? Like losing Cosme was a big deal. But Brandon Coleman looks like he was a pretty good steal. You don't really hear his name. The left tackle kind of short up there. He can hopefully only get better.
Why was Lucas on the field half the time?
I mean, they were just rotating, right? They're trying to see what the better matchup was. No, they're trying to see what the better matchup is.
The Eagles are the more talented roster. I don't think anyone's going to debate that. The Eagles, they were basically subbing centers in and out all game. Like I struggle to give them credit, but they are the better constructed roster. They were the more competitive team on the field. They had the best player on the field in Saquon. And the tush push, we need to talk about the tush push too. Like I don't understand. I hate that I'm going to lean in on here on the refs and say that they have to find a way to undo this. Like it's if you pass the ball on a bubble screen to a receiver and the receiver is then shoved forward or picked up and moved forward, that forward progress doesn't count. But for some reason on a tush push, the quarterback gets the ball and then is literally lifted and shoved forward, but it counts. Like there's a problem here, and this isn't to knock the Eagles because they found a loophole or whatever. Like fine. But for the audacity of the refs, I didn't even know this was a thing. For the refs to stand up there and say, the team has been warned that we're just going to give them points even though they don't score because Luvu is trying to time the snap count. Or because Allen or whoever is lined up trying to get a shove to stop this thing. Was anyone here aware?
I think Luvu cracked the code. Hear me out on this.
The count?
The code. Luvu cracked the code to stop the tush push. It's going to be a rule change. Hear me out on this. Follow my train of thought.
I like it. Tinfoil hat on.
Here we go.
Tinfoil hat.
Welcome to the show, Andy.
Luvu cracked the code. Do this multiple times. Force the referee on the goal line to award this touchdown. The game is gonna slow down. You're gonna have pissed off fans. You're gonna have pissed off fantasy owners for sure. You're gonna have pissed off. Everybody's gonna be pissed off. Sports
because who do you reward the touchdown?
Yeah,
to?
Luvu cracked the code. Do this enough times. Not just Luvu, everybody in the league. Yeah, do this enough times. It'll force a rule change. Like. Just keep doing it. I think he cracked the code.
I believe there should be a rule change. Does anyone else agree with me? There should be a rule change.
I will say the part that shocked me was Luvu doing what he did was one thing, but to have Jalen Hurts and the Eagles consistently keep doing the hard count to draw him to do that, that's the bullshit. Stop doing the hard count and just push it in and go. But if you're going to keep doing the hard count, you should be allowed to deal with the bullshit that comes with it.
But the hard count is part of
football. When you're at the 1 inch line, what's the point of a hard count except to draw them off sides? What is the point of it? You're not getting any yardage out of it. It's just to make the team jump off sides.
Were you aware that the refs can just unilaterally award?
No, the entire world found out about it.
No one was aware. But honestly, of all the things the ref did, the awarding actually makes perfect sense. At some point, the game must continue. If you continue to go off sides, they have to. I thought they were going to eject Luvu, which that would be a more appropriate thing than giving them a touchdown, is you eject the guy who keeps on doing it.
But that's what I'm saying. Crack the code. Keep doing it. Keep doing it.
It doesn't crack the code because it doesn't stop them from 7.
Well, not in that game, but it's going to force.
Andy's saying the second that any ref in any game awards the Eagles the points, everybody on that competition committee is going to be like, no, this is some bullshit. That can't happen again.
But this idea that the refs can even do that, like in my mind immediately went to, like, as I was kind of letting all this marinate. Remember when Des Bryant called a touchdown that the refs decided wasn't a touchdown?
Yeah.
Is this that dissimilar? Did they just make a unilateral decision?
Well,
I mean, a couple of weeks ago, I think, or maybe it was last week, I don't remember. One of the shows we recently recorded, I was telling you, like, there has to be a way to challenge. The coaches have to be able to challenge every single call that is made, because the refs make mistakes all the time. I don't buy into the refs gave the Chiefs, and we got at some point talk about this AFC game too. But at some point though, you have a million people on your coaching staff and video review guys and whatever. When there's a blatant error, right? Like, why can't I challenge it? Like, why can't the coach say, "Hey, I want you to take a look at this"?
It's a great question, and the other thing is, you're talking about the Des Bryant catch. The more relatable one is, you remember, I think it was like 2 or 3 seasons ago, where Tomlin accidentally stuck his foot out on the sideline to trip up the Ravens returner. Why are you not awarding points on that play? It was very clearly going to be a touchdown.
Right? Absolutely.
Yeah. So
this idea that the refs can just give you points even though you don't actually complete the scoring act is wild. That can't be a thing. It should not be a thing.
No.
Right? Like,
but then again, the tush push should not be a thing, because there's a QB sneak, which is different than a tush push. Very established difference of the QB himself will sneak it and push himself, drive himself. But if you have Saquon Barkley and Dallas Goedert and somebody else in the backfield, three 600-pound guys behind you shoving you, that's cheating. That's the only way to say it. I hate all Philly fans that are going to hear this.
Listen, you remember,
Philly can suck it for me saying that, but it's true. That is not football.
Do you remember when the Colts and Peyton Manning used to do the fake timeout call and then snap the ball?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, it was legal and allowed, but eventually the refs said, like, the rules changed. You can't do that. Like, you can't purposely do that play anymore. I think the tush push is there too, because, like, everybody tries to run a variant of it, and I understand, but like you said, if the quarterback is running under his own power, it's one thing. If he is being lifted and shoved forward, like that, there's no other.
Just like on a field goal block, you can't use the line in front of you to propel yourself up.
Yes,
it's a very similar rule distinction. You can't be back there and push your guy in.
Yeah.
If more teams do what Louvu did, there'll be a rule change.
Honestly, I loved that Louvu kept doing it. I'm gonna go buy a Louvu jersey tonight because I love
prepared to do a GoFundMe to pay his fines or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever was
I loved everything he did about
it. Just keep doing it. Like,
and he had the Michael Jordan tongue out smile. I love it. Give me all of the Louvu.
What's the best case scenario for that play? He gets to the ball, he knocks it out, right? He stops forward progress. I mean, there's a couple different things that can happen, but it's fine.
But you're also, I think as a defense, you have to also just let them in. They wasted so much time, and at a point in time in the game where time was important.
I would hate to let an opportunity go by. Pete from Philly made one actual decent comment that I think you need to put back up there, and so we need to acknowledge, because this probably happens every couple of years where he actually makes sense for one moment, which he basically likened our squad to the 02 Eagles, which I assuming was their first NFC championship run under Andy Reid and a young McNabb. He's right. I mean, there is a order when it comes to the NFL. There is a transitory, moment where you're these like young up and comers, and then you become, the hunter versus the hunted kind of thing. We're seeing it with the Bills and the Chiefs. Obviously, it's not the Bills year again, but where you're like trying to get up, and beat these guys. I think everything that happened yesterday is going to fuel this team to have continued success and be ready for that moment. We see in the NBA all the time where there's, LeBron struggle, overcome, So I think this was step one in what could be a long and prosperous domination of the NFC. I think people from Philly doesn't realize that we're about to dominate the NFC for years to come.
I got to take a slightly opposite angle on this, right? I feel like Philly is in a position to continue to be really good as long as Saquon is really good. And I watched that Chiefs.
The quarterback sucks.
He does. He does. But I mean, look, they got Saquon out of nowhere. I mean, just he fell into their laps. And I'm not saying that'll happen. And I mean, Hurts is not good, but there's enough talent on that team, Stevie, that like they're not going anywhere, right? And I'm watching the AFC game yesterday, AFC Championship game. Refs aside here for a second. All I could think about was the Chiefs attained the pick that became Patrick Mahomes from the Bills. Also the pick that became Xavier Worthy from the Bills. And now they are stuck in purgatory. They had their best season as a franchise. They could not get over the hump. How or who is going to knock off the Chiefs? Maybe when Kelsey retires, perhaps, maybe that's enough where they just can't get by anybody else. To me, like you look at, this is not a compelling storyline at all from a Super Bowl perspective. I don't think anyone outside of Kansas City and Philadelphia cares at all about either of these teams. Some people will cheer for greatness. Some people will cheer against Mahomes. Some people just hate the Taylor Swift thing, whatever. I genuinely do not care. I can't cheer for Philly, but I do not care about Kansas City whatsoever. I just look at them and I'm thinking, what if there was a third place game? And I said this out. I tweeted this out yesterday too. What would the ratings look like if you actually got Commanders and Redskins to play a third place game instead of the stupid Pro Bowl or skills?
If there was a real benefit to that game,
like a draft pick, like maybe the winner, like you get tossed back into the lottery or something. I don't know. Like if there was a way to do it, could you ever convince them to do it?
This is just loser talk.
It's fan fiction.
Loser talk.
It's not loser talk. It's fan fiction. But
third place games are loser talk.
Does anyone care about the Super Bowl, FP?
No, nobody cares about the Super Bowl. Nobody cares about the Super Bowl.
Is it better for the NFL to have these two franchises go at this again? Do we not know
unfortunately,
who's going to win the Super Bowl?
It is better for the NFL because Taylor Swift's army is giving them their views. Listen, I don't want to talk about the Super Bowl. I feel that tastes bile in my mouth right now. It's ruining the shisha. Listen, the whole point about
for all you non-Middle Eastern.
Oh yeah, sorry, the water pipe. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. The whole point that you were saying about who's going to knock off the Chiefs, the Bills for the last 4 years have been drafting and building their team with one purpose in mind, and that was to take it to the Chiefs. Yes. And that game, every game is always super, super close, right? So you take that narrative, you apply it to the NFC, who's going to knock off the Eagles? You have to take the team, and this comes into the stupid comment Pete from Philly made. This comes into what Stevie's been saying the whole time. If you're Adam Peters, you look at this Commanders team, and you're like, how do we build this team to handle the Eagles? Handling the Eagles is Saquon. You're not worried about Jalen Hurts. So then you have to do what we said at the beginning.
Like you're not just the Eagle. You're not dealing with just the Eagles here. The AFC is dealing with. Okay, I mean,
but we proved that we can already handle the Lions and the Vikings and the whoever's because they don't have Saquon. Saquon is that piece. No other team has Saquon, right? Saquon chose to take less money to go to Philadelphia. Why? Because of that O-line.
Be in this exact position that
yes, because of that O-line. So if you were looking at a way to defeat this Philly team, to knock them off the mantle, you have to shore up. And that's what I was saying at the beginning, and it's echoing Steve. You have to make it so that this team's strength after Jaden Daniels is your O-line and your D-line, right? D-line, like I said, you're not going to go away from Allen and Payne and Johnny Newton yet. I'm not saying they're on the hot seat as far as hot seat goes for defensive tackles. But all the other positions, the edge players, the O-line, everything, you got to shore it up. And it has to get to a point where Jaden doesn't have to do Jaden things. Terry doesn't have to do Terry things. And you just have you kind of go back to the 90s. You go to Joe Gibbs football and you play smash mouth football. You have to do it. Right? Like that
was he even there? They said
he was there.
He
was there.
Yeah, he was there.
He was probably getting heckled by fans and pissed on or whatever, but
yeah.
Was KD there?
I don't know if KD. I think KD had a game.
Yeah.
They still play the NBA. That's right. They still play the NBA.
The NBA is still happening.
Coming to a show near you very soon. I don't know what we're gonna do. Like it's
we're not talking. We're just gonna go. This is gonna become the Caps show.
Can we?
Where's Matt Demet? Where pitchers and catchers?
Stevie, go away. Go away.
I mean, he was posting it today. He's like 16 days or whatever. I was like, I can't do this yet. I can't. I'm not mentally there just yet. I do want to talk a little bit about the AFC Championship game here. Again, refs aside here for a moment. Stevie, who'd you have winning that game before the game? Were you in on the Chiefs?
No, I was always on the Bills. I did not. I slept on how good the Chiefs defense is.
Yeah.
This is not watching enough football. I slept on how good. And really, you talk about the Chiefs' sustained success is not Patrick Mahomes directly.
Spags
is reloading the defense and Spags.
Chris Jones said it. He's like, if any of these teams hired Spags as their head coach and we lost him, we're not in the championship game. We're not in the Super Bowl. He knows.
It's very clear that's the strength of their team.
And what's amazing is they don't add big pieces. Their defense is very pedestrian, middle of the pack, and then they get to the postseason and it just goes through the roof. And this is a consistent trend with Spags in this defense. And you're right. I mean, everybody gives Reed credit and Mahomes credit. Once upon a time, it was Bieniemy. Spags has successfully coached this defense to play well above their weight class or just take it up a notch in every deep postseason run the team has made.
Honestly, it's fundamentals. It's coaching fundamentals, right? Like the defensive line stays where they're supposed to stay. The edge rushers don't lose contain when they have to. They make tackles when they have to. Like they're disciplined, fundamental defense. And I think that's where we lacked, honestly. That's where we lacked. We lacked fundamentals. We lacked
on the first play.
Are you calling out the Wait. Are you calling out coaching?
No, I'm not calling out coaching. No, I'm not calling out coaching. I'm calling out our players. I'm calling our execution out. Like our defensive, like our edges, right? Like, how can you not make tackles? How can you lose contain when he's a mobile quarterback? Like that should be pressed into your mind at the beginning of the game, right? As an edge, keep him in the pocket. Even if you don't make the tackle, just be a brick. Just stay there. Make him work around you, look over you, look around you. Like I think it's a little bit of execution on the player's part.
I'm not going to say it's coaching because this coaching staff took a fresh, overturned, inexperienced roster and made it to the championship game. And a lot of that was coaching. But yeah, like Andy said, like there's very clearly identified pieces after this Philly game that Adam Peters has to go in and reassess. So maybe start of the season, I'm sure his mock draft board, right, at the start at week 1, week 2, looks completely different than the way it looks right now, right? I'm sure corner was still high up on his wants. I'm sure wide receiver was still high up on his wants. But now maybe he's pushing edge rusher up to the third most important, right? Maybe now he's like, okay, if Cosme comes back and Brandon Coleman did good and Biadasz and Allegretti are fine, maybe do right tackle. And that's the extra piece you need on the O-line. But I'm just saying the recalibration, which is the Dan Quinn phrase, is still a moving list, right? But yeah, a lot of those missed tackles, it does come down to the players because they were put in position by coaching to get there. They just have to wrap up and eyes to the sky and proper tackling.
The Chiefs defense didn't make many mistakes. That's my point, right? The Chiefs don't make mistakes on defense. They're fundamentally sound. They're disciplined. Yeah. They're where they're supposed to be.
They're almost never missing a tackle.
Right, missing a tackle positionally. They're where they're supposed to be. Like they're just a solid, disciplined team.
Before we move on, can we just, since we mentioned coaching and he mentioned DQ, can we just acknowledge the stones on DQ, the stones on that man, 2 4th downs on the opening drive, and then the fake punt.
I loved it.
From your own 30. The stones on that man. They got to open both doors for that guy to get through.
I mean, they ended the season being the most successful 4th down converting team based
NFL
on
history.
Yeah, I mean, and that
next season, do we just become?
I think you have to. I mean, Tress is a free agent, right? I mean, if you have any inconsistency at the kicker position, yeah, I mean,
you're definitely keeping Tress away, but yeah, your field goal kicking. Kind of less important.
Yeah.
We should give respect to the OCD guy. Give respect.
Gonzo did hit his field goals. It's true.
He was fine.
He did what he was asked to do.
He was
Couldn't get a touchback to save his life. But
he also had trash Philly fans in the warm-ups making fun of his condition, telling him to keep fixing his hair.
Yeah,
hate
we
Philly.
can do a whole show on. Yeah, exactly. Much of our childhood was spent hating Dallas, and just because that was the rival of the team.
There is no more Dallas week.
well, sure, Dallas, we can be retired. Like, I never really hated the Giants. They're just a division rival. But Philly, just something about the green and the annoying and the batteries and booing Santa and peeing on opposing teams' fans and stealing their gear while they're walking. Like, we debated going to this game so much. And in the end, it came down to, do I want to be urinated on in the event of a win or a loss?
I would have ended up in a drunk tank jail and fighting everybody. I would have lost my clearance. I would have lost my job. I would have lost it all.
Well, that could still happen given this podcast and other things you say. I have so much F5ing and editing to do after these shows.
Put the E on the podcast and let people hear the curse words.
It's a family show. It's a family
It's
show.
not a family show. The bots in Russia don't care.
I wanted to talk about Allen and the Bills. You guys somehow pivoted back to the Skins. Like, you're not just more misery and punishment.
This is a DC show. Of course, we pivoted back to the Skins.
Did Allen get the first down? Just yes or no?
Yes.
Nah, not clearly enough.
I think he did too. I think you got it.
I think, if anything, this raises the next rule change competition committee question, and it's, why the hell do we not have technology in the ball to help us figure out where it goes? Why are we relying on a bunch of 56-year-old retiree white guys to squint their eyes and decide where the ball goes?
I'll make this
thing ever.
Regularly watch the Australian Open, Wimbledon. Every tennis Grand Slam has a chip in the ball
and of culture
that shows a video of exactly where the ball landed. This is not difficult.
Yeah, it makes no sense why we don't have. We have one of the biggest balls in professional sports. You can afford the real estate to put a chip in it.
Didn't they pilot it in the preseason? I heard something about them piloting it. Did they put a chip in there?
And it was very slow.
The chip belongs in the ball. I mean, they do this. By the way, I'm only putting this up here. I'm not acknowledging this stupid comment. He used the word. It's a very learned man. He used modicum completely incorrect.
He looked it up. He looked up synonyms.
Yeah.
For
Philly fans can't spell
example. He put the word example. He probably misspelled the word.
What are you trying to tell me?
Synonym.
Just know that we know that you don't know what the word modicum means, because that's incorrect.
Modicum.
Whatever.
Freaking Philly fans.
So
read a book like your wide receiver.
The ball. We see it in EPL soccer, right? Like, they do VAR. They've got chips on the line. They've got chips in the post. They've got chips in the ball. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect, but what you can't have is what clearly appears to be on TV a first down, then two line judges running towards each other at different parallels.
Yes.
Then selecting the one that favors the team that everybody is programmed to assume is being aided by the refs, and then make it unchallengeable. That's why, for me, I'm going to die on this hill. Every play should be challengeable. Every single one.
Yeah, I get that, but the problem is it still comes up to the refs if they want to accept your challenge or not.
Well, why do they not accept the challenge? If that was a challengeable play yesterday, first of all, they should have challenged.
Okay.
They would see that Allen is over the line, and that's a first down.
No, they would have said there's not enough evidence to overturn the ruling on the field, which they do all the time.
Well, and then the chip in the ball.
That's why you need the
technology. Yeah.
And if you want to introduce it, you want to keep piloting it. NFL isn't a complicated game. There's very obvious downs and distance where you know to flick the switch and turn the technology on. Okay, it doesn't have to be for every down and distance, right? For the most part, it's fine. It's on the very obvious go for it situations.
I actually read something
you turn the switch on
about adding more referees to, like, as you get less and less teams or deeper into the playoffs, add more people to make sure you get the play right. How do you feel about that?
So if they could stay out of the way. Did we ever get an answer? I still don't believe the refs are full-time referees.
They are full-time referees.
They are full-time?
Yes. They just work 18 weeks a year plus training camp.
I don't know if more helps. I think you just need to embrace technology.
I think more could help, right? I mean, it would help.
Give them broadcast views.
Yes.
Right? And then put the chip in the ball and you resolve 90% of your problems.
Yeah, I mean, it's
very easy.
I got to do something. It's not good for the NFL to have fans of the NFL thinking and kind of falling into this trap of the refs are helping the Chiefs. Every call goes towards every single call.
What's not good for them is when their own network is talking about it, and it's a point of conversation for Rich Eisen and all these other guys that are on their payroll of the NFL
saying it out
that are making jokes about it. Like you have to address it. And it's like it's the same BS like you want to say about the tush push, right? Don't get yourself in a position to be down where the tush push can help you score. Don't get yourself in a position where you have to have the refs dictate what happens in the game. But that's easier said than done. That's football 101, right? It's going to happen. It's just there's very easy solutions, and I don't understand what the competition committee is doing where they're avoiding these easy solutions and making it a better product, because the NFL is king. They never have to worry about going the way of the NBA and just completely being a joke on TV. That's never going to happen. But it's getting to a point where the narrative is overtaking the product, and that's not what anybody wants for the NFL. That's not what the commissioner should want, or anybody.
Yeah, it's bad for the sport. I mean, it's bad for the sport, right? This is even a talking point after your 2 finalist teams have been identified. Like, it's just not a good look. It's not a good look, and it's a running joke that's really painful. Like, if you like Buffalo was not aided by the referees, right? It's just the reality of the situation, right? I mean, how many missed calls were in the Skins game yesterday, right? I mean, it's
yeah. I mean, I hate referee talk, but it does come down to when you have a ref's crew that very clearly favors another team, maybe don't give him the championship game, right? Now, a lot of the issues that we saw were self-inflicted, but a lot of them could have also been prevented with better refereeing.
Did the Patriots dynasty, did they have this kind of referee
I give them
it got started. I mean, it got started by a referee save.
But this is
the Brady rule,
touch rule. Yeah.
This is where I think it's different. The Patriots cheated on their own. They deflated the ball. They recorded the other team. Like, they did that on their own accord, and they were caught. This with the Chiefs is different because it feels like they get every single call. Like, you're playing against an extra man on the field. Like, if there's anything that is like, the benefit of the doubt seems to go towards that team every single time. Like, it's perception, but perception sometimes is reality, right? Like, that's just the perception. The Patriots were just cheaters, and they were caught, right? It was Deflategate. It was the videotaping. There was something else that they got caught doing. I don't remember now what it was, but the point is, like, they were like, those were like, they did that, right? And then the league said, you're not supposed to do that. And then they fined them and took a draft pick and whatever. It's also like, people cheered against Brady and the Patriots, like Brady, because of his greatness. I think people cheering against the Chiefs because they're such an unlikable group of people. Like, in the end, like, the Mahomes babyface narrative is over. Like, he's not a babyface anymore. Like, the State Farm commercials are cute, but the attitude on the field and the swagger and his dumb brother and his stupid dancing and TikToks and the Kelsey Taylor thing, that's not even his fault. Like, I don't fault Travis for having a girlfriend who happens to be very popular. That's not his fault. Right? I don't think he's the one playing it up until they show up at, like, Yankees games and this and that. But they're just a very unlikable group of people.
Which is crazy because Andy Reid is probably the most loved coach in the NFL.
Didn't his kid kill somebody?
Himself. He lost a son. Yeah, he lost the son.
I think you're thinking the like one of the assistant coaches, their kid was in a DUI that killed somebody.
Like the week before the Super Bowl.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, Andy Reid lost a child to
I take that back.
But like, he is. I mean, he's one of the number 300, if I'm not mistaken, yesterday, right? Like, he is.
Yeah.
He is the pinnacle, right, when it comes to coaching and sustainability. Like, he's amazing. But the rest of the team is extremely unlikable. You know, and Travis doing his what are we gonna do?
Not 2 weeks. In 13 days, we are all liking them and cheering for them and rooting them on.
This isn't a hot take. I really don't want to watch the game. I don't care about the commercials. I don't care about Lamar Jackson. What's the halftime show?
Kendrick Lamar.
Whatever. I don't care about him. Like, what am I like? Why am I going to torture myself? Why?
What else are you going to do on a Sunday in February?
We'll play Fortnite. We'll do a live pod. We'll do a super chat thing. We'll have people send us money, and
let's go to Glory Days and eat all the wings and
$30. All you can. What a promotion.
What
Take
a
him out of
promotion
business.
that is.
It's
Stevie,
worth
you
it
want to do
now.
a live show? That would be the day to do a live show because none of us care about this game.
I'm not privy to the promotion. What is that?
I'll just sit in the back and just eat wings during the whole show.
$35 all you can eat at Glory Days for the Super Bowl.
As long as you stay there.
Or as long as your fattiness can just sit there. Yes. You just keep eating. No bathroom breaks, no exit.
Just wings.
No. It's like a whole limited menu. There's like sliders and wings. I'm sure there's cheese fries. I'm sure. We can get Shreds to look it up for us.
So a lot of fat people that listen to this show.
Lots. Yeah.
Yes. Ozempic, let me know.
Oh yeah, you got the hookup.
You just have the plug for the Ozempic. What's the other
saying.
one?
Wegovy. I got it. I got whatever you need.
Okay, great.
Steve, let's talk offline.
You
Dude,
do not qualify.
No, I don't want to qualify. It's more of a dealer point of view.
Okay.
There's a lot of shadiness. Is this how I lose my job? That's very shady.
Yeah, I mean, it's F5. I have to edit all this nonsense out. Stevie, anything from you, sir? Or we sign off? Anything you want to say to Pete from Philly, who's still texting me, by the way?
No, I don't want to say. I would like to plead to my favorite president to please exempt Colombian women from your immigration deportation. Please.
Yeah, I'm not trying to lose all the Bumble matches for Stevie.
Let them in and let them stay.
Let them stay. Hashtag let them stay. Okay, we got it. Thank you, Stevie. Andy, anything from you?
No, I mean, just to circle back, I do think that.
Are you still talking sports?
I do. One more thing. I think that the Eagles' dominance was overhyped. That's it. I mean, we all know the Eagles' dominance was overhyped. We beat ourselves. It wasn't their prowess. It was just overhyped dominance. That's it. And I'm mad that it was winnable. It was very winnable. That's what makes me mad, is that it was winnable.
It could have been winnable. I mean, I'm annoyed too. FP, what do you got?
It pains me to say this, but I'm in full caps mode. Ovi's 20 goals away. Number one team in the NHL.
Just like that? Less
Just
than
like
24 hours?
I'm out. Football's
What's his
over.
number? How many more to go?
20 goals away, baby.
20 goals away. Okay, let's get our stat.
It's a big stat. Big stat, but
will you be in the building as he gets a little closer?
Yeah, I'm gonna start now. Now is the time where you start buying tickets and taking some dates there.
We were playing meaningful football until the end of January, right? I mean, FP, your season goals were beat the Giants twice.
Yeah, guess what next season's goal is? Sweep the effing Eagles. That's it. Sweep them. Shut them up.
Anybody think they got 2 wins against the Eagles in them right now?
Yeah, doable.
For sure. Okay, well, I got nothing else. It's been a long day. It's been not fun trying to process all of this. We got nobody's looking forward to this Super Bowl. It is what it is. We got 2 weeks, I guess, to kind of try to find some storylines that are compelling. I don't know of any as of right now. But I guess we'll see. For DC, next time we get together, boys, maybe we'll do like superlatives. We'll come up with a word or something to describe the season. The local radio did that this morning. I thought it was a good way to kind of put a bow on the season that was, right. As miserable as it is, it really wasn't a misery Monday, but it's over. The run is over.
I'm sure we can find a modicum of celebration.
I don't think you're saying that word right.
1,000%. Pete from Philly. Good luck in 2 weeks.
Don't wish him luck. Don't wish him luck. I hope the stadium implodes on itself. It's terrible. It's terrible. For all the boys on the show, the Rotating Cast, my name is Joe. The show is DTC. You can get the show anywhere you get your podcasts. Just search for DTC or Defeating the Curse. If you have anything to send in, feel free to send it in on YouTube, on Facebook, or at Gmail, defeatingthecurse@gmail.com. Anonymity is guaranteed. We're posting a couple shows a week at this point, so thank you for checking us out, and thank you for hanging out with us. Until next time, we are out. Hail to the Redskins. Hail to the Commanders. The season is over, but the dream is alive. The curse is very close to being defeated, as we saw. So until next week or next time, we are out.